we're getting more news in. McCabe, the former FBI director. What do you know, McCabe? Yeah, remember him? What are they doing on him? There should be an investigation going on into him, I would think. I mean, he had 5 years to fix this thing, and he couldn't do it. And we've learned, of course, as I've reported here, that the evidence against the J6 pipe bomb suspect was just sitting there for years. They had it. It was just languishing. They didn't bother. Now, why would that be? Why would that be? Let's see if McCabe bothers to answer that question. Let's go to his soundbite right now. He went on to CNN, where he thought he'd have a hospitable audience. I imagine he did. I'd like to play this for you here. It's just coming into me, courtesy of one of our producers on the team, David, in real time. Let's listen. Okay, we're going to try that again. Let's listen.
And Director McCabe, I mean, can you help us understand a little bit more of how this might be possible? Because it had felt like a pretty stunning cold case for quite some time. Is there any truth, do you think, to what the Attorney General and those were saying, that it was ignored? Or how do you understand the facts at hand?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to believe, Casey, that it was ignored over the last many years. Right? I think Evans characterized it well. You bring in a new team to look at the evidence you have in a different way, to maybe see things that your investigators who've been beating their heads on this stuff for years haven't seen. But ultimately, what you have here is an incredibly detailed data collection. And I'm sure a lot of that data was collected before this new refresh took place. But what they've done is they've taken every single piece of the bomb, from the end cap to the pipe to the battery connectors to the wires, use every little piece. They've identified where those things are sold, and they looked at the populations of people that bought each one. And as you layer that information on top of each other, you cross-correlate all that data, a smaller and smaller population of people begins to emerge. And some of the people in that population will be electricians or plumbers or people who would buy those things normally in the course of their work. But eventually your bomber, or a small group of potential bombers, rises to the top. And then you can do the very localized surveillance sort of work that's required to kind of take that next step. I'm sure some version of that was happening for the entire time they've been working this case. Let's remember it took the FBI 18 years to find the Unabomber, right, after his first bomb in 1978. So these are tough cases and sometimes take a long time.
Really? I don't know. I mean, maybe if you'd had Cash and Dan in there, you would have found the Unabomber earlier too. Maybe it was actually, you need to prioritize things. Again, my complaint on Pam Bondi was that it was not prioritized enough to get to the bottom of the indictment for one James Comey, and that's why you had the statute of limitation expiring. I don't know why they would be sitting on this file and not have the proper information to be able to do the proper due diligence. Now, there are some suggestions out there, and I believe there was a commentator on Fox who said this, that maybe the technology wasn't quite there. I don't know. I mean, they could have done this like 8 months ago, right? 9 months ago. Let's go and listen to this analysis right here.
There is a suspect that is in custody for the pipe bombs that were placed at the DNC and I think the RNC, both on January 6th, the night before January 6th. This is a photograph that they have here. Now, this is 5 years on.
Yeah.
So what do you think the break in the case might have been?
It's really hard to say, but whatever it was, you're going to have these questions of why now? What's been going on for the last 5 years? Now, unless you have something where somebody came forward or something else broke and they got some evidence that they didn't have, you're going to say, were they pressing all along here? Why now? We both know this is going to be heavily politicized, right? Because it's on the eve of J6. Is it tied to J6, et cetera? The thing that I find interesting is that there's reporting out there over the last couple of weeks, and it was rumored online, so a lot of us didn't give it too much credit because it wasn't corroborated yet, but that they had identified this person through the gate. That is the way the person walked. That technology has come a long way, never mind with the AI overlay. And that kind of a thing, maybe it's not enough to say I got probable cause, but it's a pointer. I'm looking to see if it's that or if it was some other mechanism, but this will
very
be
interesting. We were making the comment with David Spunce reporting earlier this hour that it seems to me, and I don't want to speak for Dana, but you had to get a tip from someone.
Yeah.
Because the identity of this person is well conceived.
Yeah.
So maybe identify the hood, maybe the backpack, maybe there's something else on the...
Yeah, there was a lot done apparently with the sneakers. The sneakers were relatively rare as these things go, and so they did a deep dive. I just happened to notice about the sneakers and if they were sold in the Washington, D.C. area. And you can backtrack a lot. We had a case one time we found somebody in Hawaii relative to a backpack that he had bought. So you can do this kind of stuff if you have the investigatory muscle. Maybe it takes a long time. Maybe the sneakers end up being a brick. We'll have to see. But fascinating that after 5 years, this is a big win. Let's see if it holds up. You got to make sure that you got the right person, innocent till proven guilty. But if they have nailed this 5 years on, after all the speculation and the political machinations, this is a big win for the FBI.
I love how Paul's like,
Right. It is a big one. And it took 5 freaking years. I'm telling you, Dan knew this was going to be solved.
To get to the bottom of something like January 6th and the pipe bomber case, for example, you need 3 things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. I'll allow the public to put that together and just wait, and you'll see. Nothing we're doing, nothing is by accident.
Okay. Anyway, the real reason, I'm just telling you, the real reason is because they didn't care. Okay? That's it. They didn't freaking care. Because they wanted everybody to think that somehow it was associated with those crazy MAGA people and that kind of fit what they were running with, and they had bigger fish to fry. They needed to get Marsha Blackbird's cell phone records. They needed Ted Cruz's cell phone records. They needed to know who they were talking to, for goodness sakes. That is why, okay? That's why. And that's actually why they're pretty damn dangerous for this country. Really, really dangerous. Not to mention that they apparently steal. I mean, just go right out to Minnesota and you see all that. Oh, lots of goodies. Apparently, Ilhan Omar now, it's being reported, has some ties. Oh dear, what are we going to do? So Tim Walz is being looked at, as you well know, in the case of these alleged ties to some of the billion-dollar scammers out in Minnesota. People want to know, why did he look the other way? Why did he seemingly not care?